Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Mark again here, WeatherMan Plus. Now, I'm going to touch on the severe weather that we do have for tonight into tomorrow. It is in a video. I will put the timestamp for you. If you've never been here before, make sure you subscribe. I am all year long. What I'm going to touch on in this video is show you this next wave that's about to come off the coast of Africa. It's our strongest one yet, and it is our best potential, but it's taken a little bit of a northern track through the MDR, and it is meeting problems, as well as an update on our hurricane season, because I have some new information for you to show you, to prove to you that it's still not going to start until late August, and September is really going to be our main hurricane season, September and October. But I'm going to show you the data so you can see for yourself. After you see it, share this information, let others see it as well. Thank you so much for your support. Like this video, guys. Let's do a little Friday spike on it if you find it a little worthy with the information, and see what you think, because I want to know what you think is going to be on this hurricane season. Is it going to be downgraded to how many storms are coming, or is it just going to be a really compact September? Now, just like NOAA has predicted, above average season for this 2022 year, and I'm going to show you why we're not having any hurricanes as of yet, and when we actually might get our first one. Normally in the Atlantic, it is around August 10th. That's our average for our first hurricane, even though we already had 2 storms already. But I'm going to show you what the average is and what we're going into. And you tell me, are we going into above average season, or should the amount of storms that should be expected for the season, should they be downgraded a little bit? Because remember, not just the Pacific, we're talking about Atlantic hurricanes coming off our MDR, our strongest part of our season. Now, just to recap, they predicted 14 to 21 named storms, 6 to 10 of them being hurricanes, and 3 to 6 of them becoming major hurricanes. And after the data I'm about to show you, you tell me, should it be downgraded just a little bit? And just to be clear, National Hurricane Center does not expect anything within the next 5 days. Now, one thing that is true is our Gulf of Mexico. Our Gulf of Mexico is above average for this season. A lot of warm temperatures, and it's even as bad as 2005 when it fueled Hurricane Katrina. But remember, it wasn't just the warm temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. We also had a CME as it was passing through the Caribbean, and it actually helped Katrina strengthen as well. And as of yesterday, very warm temperatures in our Gulf, all in the high 80s, even sections where it's barely hitting 90 and all that brown. Very much above average, very warm temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. But you can also see on the weekly reports that our sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico is well above average right now, especially for July going into August. Look how much above average the temperatures are in the Gulf. Way above average. As well as our shear in the Gulf for quite some time has been very low, and you can see right here going to the end of July that our shear is well below average in the Gulf of Mexico. So we have very warm temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, very low wind shear, so that's why they're seeing above average hurricane season for this season, and we've only had 2 storms so far. You can even see that the probability of a tropical cyclone formation in the Gulf of Mexico is at its lowest ever, and we're going into July, about to go into August. Look how much below average we are so far in this season. And that's all mostly because the instability in the Gulf of Mexico is well below average for this time of year. For right now, we have all this dust still coming through, and I'm showing it's going to continue coming through for quite some time. Matter of fact, when you look at the NASA satellite, you can see all the dust still coming through the Caribbean. It's going to be coming into our Gulf, and we do get these tropical waves. We have a few waves out there now. We have 2 waves that are going to be going into the Eastern Pacific. You can see that right here. It'll start to build up one right in the Eastern Pacific right around the Monday the 25th. And then we get that big plume of moisture that's moving through the Caribbean off this wave, and it has a chance to do some kind of quick formation up in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's what is showing on the NASA satellite. Not a lot of rotation in it. If you remember the last update I did, this was further to the west. And you get a second formation in the Eastern Pacific, also seen by the NASA satellite. So we get 2 quick formations in the Eastern Pacific, and that's what's coming ahead. Not to mention this wave that's coming through as well. different time scales according to the GFS and the Euro. Both of them are showing somewhat the same track. Now you can see for the next 10 days, according to the Euro, that we do have a wave coming off and it weakens greatly. I'll show you why. And we get something in the Eastern Pacific. But the GFS is agreeing, just like the NASA satellite, that we actually have two coming off into the Eastern Pacific. One could be going towards Hawaii in that direction. And that is what National Hurricane Center is seeing for the Eastern Pacific, that we have two disturbances forming up and they will be traveling west-northwest. Now we do have the anomaly over U.S. right now, and we do have the storm that passed by. But remember, I told you it was two storms. It was going to be a 1-2 punch. And there's an anomaly of the second one. And the second one is showing that we're going to have a really strong damaging winds and potential hurricane winds later tonight and for tomorrow, with a good chance for tornadoes as well. But we do have these anomalies that are passing through. I just wanted to show you that because you're going to see them when I show you the potential velocity anomaly and what's coming. So real quick, the severe weather before we get right back to the hurricane season and what we can expect. So for tomorrow, we do have significant winds in this black, very much 30% in this red, very much damaging winds. I will show you the winds. And we have chances for hail, significant hail in this black as well. This is for tomorrow. But our tornado chances have grown for tomorrow. We have a big 2% area in the green and a 5% area in the brown. And here's your cities and states at risk. Your biggest risk being Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, Madison, Wisconsin, Rochester, Minnesota, and Bloomington, Minnesota. As well as your 2%, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Duluth, Minnesota, Appleton, Wisconsin, and Waukesha, Wisconsin. And you can see on high resolution rapid refresh that we actually get two strong bands. Later on tonight, we start getting some storms moving through southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and that's overnight into the morning hours. And I'm showing it's coming some winds with that as it goes through Indiana as well. So you got to be aware of not only the first one, but the second one. The second one is the one that's really going to ramp up. As we get towards noon tomorrow, we get this big system moving through Wisconsin. And this was the second storm of the two guys. And with it is coming damaging winds. You can see the protruding out in it. And it's also bringing a lot of hail. Look at the winds pushing that out with a lot of bowing as it goes all the way to 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Just keeps on going straight across into Michigan. And it is getting some shear value to these storms. So the first storm that's passing through later on this evening, you see you start getting some shear on these cells as it's passing through northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and it is getting a lot of storms on them. So there will be some winds, mostly going to be a wind event. And as you keep going, you see it just bows out with all these strong winds coming with that first system as it passes through. Then we get that second system that comes through. Starts off in Minnesota, has a lot of strong shear on it the whole time, full of very strong winds. But once it starts going towards Wisconsin, starts bowing out, then you start getting these little rogue cells in front of the storm, and those are the ones that could create your chances for tornadoes. Look at the bowing out in that system as you keep going all the way to 5 p.m. Continues to bow out, all these winds behind it. But now you're getting some shear value in front of the system. Look at these cells popping in front with a lot of shear on them. So I do think it will be a lot of damaging winds coming with this, but there's also chances for tornadoes because it keeps the shear value the whole time it travels across the lake into Michigan. It keeps a lot of strong shear. You might even get a water spout in the lake, but when it gets over land, it turns into a wind event again. You get a couple rogue cells that passes in front of it, but most of it is all together rain wrapped one big cell. And it just goes all evening long into the early morning hours towards Ohio. And it is keeping the shear on it the whole way through. So it's this cold front coming through behind it, meeting these very warm temperatures, creating this pretty nasty storm that we're going to have. And the tracks that I'm seeing from being significant severe are pretty severe. And when you check your helicity tracks, which shows you your wind direction change with height, chances for strong systems, long-lived cells, tornadoes, you can see with the high resolution rapid refresh that it does move through North Dakota and northern Minnesota before it actually gets started with the event as well as you can see for Illinois, Indiana. It don't have a lot going on for y'all as that first burst of storms coming through y'all. That is mainly going to be a big wind event. But when that second one moves through for Saturday, it does come through and leave long tracks all through North Dakota as well. Minnesota goes all the way through Wisconsin, just some long-lived cells, long track, all the way into Michigan as well. A big long rip of storms is coming with this system, so please be aware. I know this is a hurricane season video and an update on the tropics, but this severe weather really needs to be touched with, and I might have to do a video in the morning just to update this because this is really looking like a bad situation. Because you can see with the winds that as that first system passes through all Saturday morning, Friday night, and Saturday morning, it brings 40, 50 miles per hour winds with it, and you can see the bowing out in them storms. But as that second one comes in for Saturday, it's already bringing 70s and 80s through North Dakota and Minnesota before you even reach noontime. Then it travels all the way through Wisconsin. The highest so far is 90 wind gusts on these cells. Goes through Michigan, bringing 40 and 50 miles per hour wind gusts. Just a long track, a big glob of mess, a lot of severe weather coming with this system. This is pretty bad, guys. A lot of damaging winds and a lot of chances for tornadoes. Now let's get back to the hurricane season information and what's going on. I just wanted to show you what's happening with that storm, because that storm is what you see right here for our potential velocity anomaly. This is according to the GFS. And you see we have the storm coming. We have something coming in late July, but it's showing a pretty good weakening. Euro showed it strong, but now the Euro is showing almost like the GFS is saying as well. Coming off strong off the MDR, a lot of lift, but it's also weakening because it has all this dust behind it and in front of it as it travels through late July coming our way. Then we have a whole bunch of dust that's going to come after that all the way until the beginning of August, and maybe August 5th and 6th, we have some more lift coming to our area. Now, I'll put the link for this page for you as well so you can see the information for yourself. So you see it is the latest information. This is from NOAA as well as National Weather Service. This is what you need to look up when you check in the prediction of the Madden-Julian oscillation for your velocity potential in our Caribbean, in our MDR, Gulf of Mexico. Wherever you want to look for it, you can see what's going on with the sinking air and the lift for our region, and there has been a big update. First, let's go by the GFS as we check and see the first week away from July 31st all the way to August 7th. You can see that we have a lot of sinking air in our region, and it's neutral coming off to MDR. And if you keep checking, you'll see as we go through the beginning of August that we do get some lift coming off in the MDR, but we still have the sinking air over the Caribbean and the Gulf. And our average for that week shows that it would be sinking air in the Caribbean, not really strong like you see this dark orange here, but it will be sinking air, as well as our Gulf of Mexico. And the average shows that it would be anywhere from a little bit of a lift over Africa to a neutral phase coming off to MDR. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing it come off kind of strong, but then it's running into problems. And as you check and see what's going on from August 8th to the middle of August, according to the GFS, you can see the white, which is neutral, the orange, which is your sinking air, and the green, which is your lift. You see there's a little bit of lift in there. A lot of this is southern. But it stays this way for a while through the center of August, according to the GFS. We keep a neutral phase through the Gulf and the MDR, and there is a pocket of sinking air that sits over the western MDR, the eastern Caribbean, all the way to the 10th. And the 10th is usually when we start getting our average of our first hurricane. Now, according to the GFS, it starts getting late August, around the 15th, that the sinking air starts leaving our region, and we started going into a neutral phase with some lift over Africa, a little lift over the Central American Gyre, and the Central American Gyre lift grows into Western Caribbean by the time we get to the 15th, and the MDR is in a neutral phase. But the average for that week would be neutral off the MDR, neutral in the Western Caribbean and the Gulf, and a little bit of sinking air in the Western MDR. So it's starting to turn around where it's not so much sinking air once we get around the 15th. Now the update with the Euro, this is really going to wake up a lot of you. So that's why I'm asking you, what do you think? Should these names go down some as far as how many storms we're expected to get for this season? The Euro is confirming that we have a lot of sinking air in our Western Caribbean, in our Gulf of Mexico, and neutral phase coming off the MDR. This is by July 31st. And we're going to check all the way to September 9th. And the Euro is confirming that there is sinking air in our region all the way till the 20th before this rise in air starts coming easterly and starts coming into our region. Then as you go on from August 15th, it starts getting some lift a little bit where you get to neutral phase for the Gulf, Central American gyre by the 20th. As you go towards the 25th, it spreads a little bit more to where now you're in a neutral phase for the Caribbean. Might even be getting a little bit of lift in the Gulf of Mexico by the 25th. Still got all the sinking air coming off the MDR. So anything that comes off our MDR is going to be coming off pretty hurt and weak, and maybe try and strengthen after that. Now late August, right around the 30th, is when we're expected, according to the Euro, to start getting our lift in our Gulf of Mexico, our Central American gyre, our Western Caribbean, being a neutral phase, still with sinking air off the MDR. And by September 4th, we still got sinking air coming off the MDR. And you also got some rising air, really good motion for the Western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. This is by September 4th. And as you go all the way down to September 9th, you still got a little bit of sinking air coming off the MDR, but it's really starting to lessen by September, not really August. And you got a lot of rising air off the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. MDR is turning into a neutral phase even better. And this is going to continue to keep moving to the east. But once again, according to the Euro, this is not going to start until late August with a little bit of lift and mostly a neutral phase, and everything else sinking air in the MDR. And you can see this right here for the potential velocity anomaly for the Euro. And you can see right here for the Euro that we do have some storms right here right now, some lift that's going on in our region. That's why I showed you the anomalies for the US, because that's what this is picking up. And you see it's coming off the MDR strong, weakening as it goes across, and that's the problems it's hitting right now. But you can see sometime around the 6th of August, and it has weakened down since yesterday, that something is getting some lift coming through our region. And this is that next wave coming off the coast of Africa. While you have all this dust in between there and all this dust after there, all the way to the beginning of September, Euro is showing not really much going on, guys. Because it's showing all that sinking air is staying for a really long time, while you still have it coming off strong off the MDR once again by the middle of August. Once again, run into all this dust and killing that storm as that one tries to come off. And this is where it gets down to, is a number of storms per season. So as you can see, comparing to last year, that we did have a storm in May. We had a couple storms, 3 storms in June. July, we only had 1. But in August, right after the 10th, because the 10th is our average to start, that we actually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 storms in August last year. And the way it's looking so far for us, we might get 1 coming off the MDR. If we get any other storms, there will be a front-induced system right along the East Coast or right around the edge of the Gulf of Mexico. And that's the only chance that I'm showing so far. And then last year, as we go through September, then we started getting a lot more storms as well all through September for last year. So last year, August and September picked up. I'm showing it a little bit later, guys. I'm thinking it's going to pick up very late, extreme late August for September, as well as maybe the first half of October. All that really going to be our strongest part of our hurricane season. But you also can notice that last year, most of our storms came off of the MDR before it came towards us. So that really contributed to our hurricane season. A bunch of storms in August that came through that came off the MDR. And right now, our MDR is shut down. So I think in August that we're not going to see a whole bunch of storms coming off the MDR because of what I see with the update with the MJO with the Euro. There's going to be a lot of sinking air in the region. So should these names of these storms and the amount go down for this hurricane season, or is late August, September, and early October, going to be so many storms, we might actually have 6 or 7 named systems just to be dealing with on the daily. Because otherwise, that would make it, with so many weeks left in the season, we would have to have at least one a week. At least one a week. And if August don't produce anything but maybe this one system that we're seeing so far, that would mean for September through October, we would have to have at least 2 systems, at least 2 storms coming through our area. Potential tropical storms, potential major hurricanes. At least 2 every week, just to meet the numbers of the 14 to 21 storms that they have predicted. So are we still going to get that many storms in that little bit of time that is normally expanded out an extra month? Or is the numbers going to come down because we're losing a month of August from what I can see? Because so far for this Atlantic season, we've only had 2 systems. Now, it's usually slow in June and July, maybe even the very beginning of August. That's usually when the dust hangs around. But instead of the dust dissipating, it's not going to dissipate according to the new MJO of the Euro until we get around late August, and definitely by September, before the MDR, the main development region off of the coast of Africa, starts losing its sinking air. That means before this dust actually starts going away. Because all we had so far was Alex and then Bonnie, which went into the Eastern Pacific, but it kept the name Bonnie because it stayed in strong formation. So we had 2 so far for this season pop up for the Atlantic, and that is it. And so far for August, so far I'm only seeing a possible 1. Maybe something later in August is still a little too far to be sure about that region. So far that would be, at its best, 3. So should the number come down? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really value y'all's opinion. Because you can also see that our sea surface temperatures for the tropical Atlantic has been going down. Now, I know it is above average in so many other places, but there's a very cold that they call a cold tongue that is coming through the MDR, and it's not only weakening these systems as they come through this cooler waters, it's like 77, 78 degrees. Before it goes back into the 80, we also have this dust that is capping these storms coming off coast of Africa. But it's well below average. Normally it's rising up very fast, and right now we're on a down streak in the tropical Atlantic in our MDR. And as you look at the 850 millibar level, our lower level for our temperatures, you can see we have a lot of warm temperatures coming off the MDR right over these waves. This is the dust. Not only the dust does dry air, but it also is very warm air. And this is warm air aloft where it's cooler down below. So just like thunderstorms, when it's warmer at the 850 millibar level, that caps a thunderstorm from growing any further because it's warmer aloft than it is below. So the warm air would not rise because it's warmer way up above. So it would only grow so strong. And you can see as it comes off, it just stays smothered with all that warmer temperatures above, keeping the wave weak. As we keep on moving through Saturday and Sunday, really dissipates that first wave that comes off the coast of Africa. Then we get that second wave that comes off the coast of Africa, and look at all the warm air above. This is going to be dust that is covering over this system. It is not letting it breathe. It is trying to get a center of location. All the precipitation is on the south side, and that's it. You have all this warm air above, and it's not letting this system strengthen at all. And it stays with it all through the MDR, all the way till it gets towards the Caribbean, where it gets away from the warmer temperatures above, and it no longer is keeping it weak. But you can see it right here as you move through July 30th. Our system is moving towards the northern half of the MDR. And it's going to be a rinse and repeat as you go into August. We have more very hot temperatures up above coming off the coast of Africa, which will be dust while this next wave comes off, and it'll be keeping the thunderstorms capped where they can't keep growing as it comes off the MDR. So not only the sinking air, but it is warmer above, and that is keeping everything capped. And you can see that here. You have that big plume of dust that's moving off with that first wave that tried to do something. It's warm above, it's capping the thunderstorms, it's not letting us grow, it's not doing anything. Then we get that next wave that comes off the coast of Africa. Very warm air above, it is capping the thunderstorms, a lot of dust, a lot of sinking air as it goes all the way into the western half of the MDR. So of course right now our vertical instability, not only in the Gulf, but our vertical instability in the MDR is well below average right now for what we're going into July, about to go into August. You can see how it's just staying stable with this warm pocket of dust as it's coming through the MDR, and it's keeping everything stable. There's no instability, it's not rising up, there's not any growth going, any kind of vorticity in the MDR. Now you can see this from National Hurricane Center, also link in the description. I got a bunch of these in there for you guys. Next 72 hours that we do have 2 tropical waves that's going to be going into the Eastern Pacific. The next tropical wave right here on the Western MDR, and we have that next tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa. And the one we're looking for is the next tropical wave. Now all these are going to follow this monsoon trough and keep staying suppressed to the southwest. But that next wave is starting to take a northern track. But you can see here on your P-watt anomaly, precipitable water, that it is coming off very heavy off the coast of Africa. It has a lot of liquid with it, but once it hits the MDR, it just gets swallowed up. It loses a lot of its precipitation, tries to strengthen a few times in between these pockets of dust, but eventually loses a lot more of its precipitation as it travels. I mean, literally, it had more right before it, and it gets thinned out. So it is showing that this is weakening, just like the update with the Euro that it did show it a little stronger yesterday. Today it's showing it weakening. But just like NOAA and National Weather Service says, just like the GFS has showed, that they are expecting a tropical cyclone, tropical depression, or greater strength from July 27th to August 2nd in the Eastern Pacific, and a week before that as well. So there is 2 coming according to National Hurricane Center. But not only that, not only all these hot temperatures I showed y'all last time with lower rainfall expected in this yellow, but coming off the coast of Africa for this first week, we have above average rainfall in the upper third historical range in this green, taking that southern dip, going to the Eastern Pacific. And you see all this yellow. This is below average rainfall in the upper third right here on southern Africa, where we have to have our monsoon season, where this raises up and starts feeding these storms a lot of precipitation. Well, as we go into the next week after, from July 27th going into the beginning of August, instead of heavy rainfall, it's showing that we are going to be in the lower third historical range of rainfall coming off the coast of Africa. So it's showing all the way to August 2nd that we're still not going into our monsoon season. So I will keep you updated. You know I always will. Please take a grain of salt with these guys that are making these videos telling y'all that this season's ramping up and you need to prepare. You need to buy this, do this. Whatever they say, it's just craziness if you ask me. When you look at the information, we have so much sinking air coming in. Historically low rainfall coming off the coast of Africa. It's not time yet for our hurricane season. Matter of fact, I'm showing it won't be time for potentially another month. So as you look with the Euro and see your chances for just a tropical depression to form, you can see as these waves come off the coast of Africa, they come through the MDR, start weakening down because of why I showed you. And by the time you get to the end of July, the beginning of August, it starts making that northward push, going right over the islands, right towards the Gulf of Mexico. So it is agreeing that it could either go towards the Gulf of Mexico or it could go towards the Central American gyre. It's not set in stone yet. So as we take a closer look, you can see how it comes over across Florida right on August 1st, August 2nd, gets into our Gulf and goes about 5th or 6th right towards Louisiana. And that is a potential velocity anomaly that the Euro is showing, that it is showing it weakening. Now, if you look at your controlled member, you'll see that it more likely will be an upper level low passing by and not a strengthening storm. the more likely outcome is that this will not really do much. It'll just be a group of disorganized thunderstorms. But you can also see right here for E9 that it does come up an upper level low by the time you get to the 4th, and it does strengthen a little bit as it pushes to the west. That is the update on the tropics, guys. So far it's showing that it's going to come in weak, but there's some things that's showing it could be some kind of formation popping up at the last minute. I will stay on top of it. At the same time, according to the Euro, we're going to have a lot of sinking air through August as well, all the way to the beginning of September. We're not too many chances of storms. So please tell me what you think. Do you think we're going to go down in the amount of storms, or do you think it's really going to be a ramped up September? John 3:10 through 21. This is the conversation when Jesus was talking to Nicodemus. Jesus answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. God bless every single one of you. Thank you all so much for your support. You really are the best community on YouTube, and I've seen a lot of communities, and nobody helps like you guys do. So God bless you all. And all power. All honor, all glory does go to Yahweh, God of Jacob, our Father. So if you don't know our God, I highly recommend you pray to him. Make sure you call him by name. He's the only one true Almighty. Amen. Hallelujah. Have a great Friday, every single one of you.